What's going on, everyone? So it's been very fascinating to kind of see the differences between JJ Redick led team and Darvin Ham. Obviously, we haven't seen the on-court stuff, but it has been great to kind of hear the players and teams just talk so highly about JJ Redick and his preparation and kind of just the attention to details and game plans and schemes and all that, right? Like there's all this tape going around of just player movement and ball movement, all the things that JJ Redick has highlighted all offseason. And you're seeing the things that we really wanted Darvin Ham to implement. And you never, like, of course, when Darvin Ham was the head coach, players said nice things, the organization said nice things, but it's the details in which and how things were said and what was said, right? You never really heard about Darvin Ham. Man, he's so incredibly, meticulous and, all of the preparation and, all the small attention to details. It's just like, he's a great speaker. He's this, he's that, right? Like you see the significance in JJ Redick and the environment and just everything that's going on, right? You see the praise and how players are constantly talking about just the vibes and the atmosphere and just the way that JJ Redick and the rest of the coaching staff has really approached this offseason, and that they have been working incredibly hard and they've had these grueling practices, but it's been a great environment. Like you can feel the difference, right? Also, the realism, right? The honesty is a real thing, right? Darvin Ham, I liked the way he kind of carried himself early on with the media. You could see kind of the cracks seeping through as he continued to be the head coach. But in the beginning, he was very good at how he communicated with the media, but he always felt and spoke almost like a politician in a lot of ways. Where JJ Redick he's just so real, right? Like he addressed the questions head on. It doesn't really seem like it's this, like he's trying to have these workarounds. Like the only thing that you can really point to is the traditional center where he kind of had a gag with the reporter, but he even relayed later that I know what they were talking about. I know we need a center. Plus it was also it was a question addressed or it should have been addressed for Rob Pelinka over JJ Redick. I don't know why they asked JJ Redick that question when JJ Redick isn't the guy that's responsible for bringing on players. But outside of that, everything's been very honest. Everything's been very straightforward. But you also have guys like Anthony Davis talking about the energy has been great. The vibes have been great. We've been competing and getting after it. AD speaks to reporters after the Lakers' second practice about the energy of the practice, D'Lo and playing in the Olympics. And you just keep hearing that being reiterated, that, that the energy has been great. They really have been, having good vibes, and there's just this different atmosphere. Right? Even in media day, players just constantly just spoke down about Darvin Ham, right? Just taking jab after jab after jab and praising JJ Redick and how JJ's basically done the opposite. But I also really liked the honesty with players. He got asked a question about Dalton Connect, and he was straight up and honest. He was like, Dalton Connect today really struggled shooting the basketball. He was not great shooting the basketball. He did other things well, but he really had his struggles. And then he went on to elaborate, right? Hey, he's young, he's gonna have those struggles, but also we've been having 5-on-5 little scrimmages after an hour and a half of training. He's just getting in the league. He's trying to get acclimated, right? JJ Redick's talked a lot about just conditioning and how much this team is working on conditioning. And it's one of the reasons why they're having an hour and a half of practice and then getting into scrimmages, right? Rather than the scrimmage being part of the hour and a half. And, you see the DJ and all that stuff. And, people are kind of seem split on it in a lot of ways, but it's good, right? Keep it uplifting. Keep it exciting. Keep it fresh. Keep guys involved and engaged. Everyone's talked about how great it is, right? no, we're working hard, we're playing, but it's a different vibe. You're having a good time, you're experiencing, right? DJ's not playing constantly. Like if they're in the middle of something that's important, the DJ stops. It's more so before and after, right? And they have some moments in between, like during shoot around and stuff like that. But you're doing that before a game anyway, right? Before a game starts, music bumping in the stadium, you're doing your shoot around, doing the workouts, right? Like. But when it's time to really kind of go over plays and executions and stuff like that, seeing that. But I like that JJ Redick isn't beating around the bush with players. When guys are having their struggles, even talking about Cam Reddish, right? He's honest about it. Like, hey, Cam Reddish, he did some drills, but he's not doing the 5-on-5s. He's still sitting out. He's still doing this, right? Like, Dalton Connect has had his struggles, but that's to be expected. He'll be fine. He's had good moments. He's had bad moments. And just kind of going over kind of the ins and outs. Right? There is no Dalton Connect's been great. Like, where you're trying to hype things up, right? He's giving you a little bit of the good. He's giving you a little bit of the bad, right? There is a level of justification, but his justifications aren't invalid, right? Like Dalton Connect is a rookie who hasn't played at an NBA level, who hasn't gone through NBA level training, who hasn't gone through NBA level conditioning, who hasn't worked out an hour and a half and then jumped into a 3/4 5-on-5, right? Like there's differences, right? Like it is an adjustment period. It is creation, but you're seeing a lot of the good stuff. Even talking about D'Lo, he spoke on D'Lo, and the reporters asked, about the career year, and he said, like, look, like when I'm talking about career year, and I talked to D'Lo about it, and me and D'Lo are both on the same page, and we've been very transparent with each other, that like. Hey, career year doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to average, 30, 20, and 20, right? It doesn't necessarily mean stats. It's how he impacts winning. It's how he's got a very unique skill set. He's got ways that we can better utilize him, right? I mean, even D'Lo had incredible praise and real moment when talking about JJ Redick, where, I think it was James Worthy that was like, hey, Darvin Ham said he really wants to put you in position to succeed and have a career year. And he was like, you could see the like, wow, like, I mean, D'Lo even said, I've never had a coach say anything like that about me. I have never had a coach instill that in me. He's talked so heavily about Darvin Ham and how, him and Darvin Ham just didn't really see eye to eye and get along. Darvin Ham was constantly throwing D'Lo under the bus. Right? So to go from that to like a coach that's like trying to empower you, I'm sure it's quite the experience. I'm sure it's quite a different feel. I'm sure it's like, man, like I haven't had these experiences. I haven't been in this situation. I haven't had a coach that's kind of gone to bat for me. Right? And we'll see what happens with D'Lo as the season progresses. It's still more likely than not he gets traded at some point. But as long as he's here, you need the best version of D'Lo possible. You need D'Lo to be the best version that you can get. And so, yes, JJ Redick wanting to get the best version of D'Lo he can get is good, right? Like, it makes sense. But again, it's the vibes. It's just the way that JJ Redick kind of approaches everything, like his aura, right? Now, obviously, that doesn't necessarily translate to wins or, success on the basketball court. But it is a good sign, right? Like, look at the 2020 team. That team was all about having fun and the vibes and the atmosphere and just, playing for each other and all this stuff, right? Like, and then it's just kind of been doom and gloom ever since, right? It's kind of just been this, like, chaos, right? Part of that was getting Russell Westbrook and then, Darvin Ham and his lack of preparation and, his lack of attention to details, right? Like, again, JJ Redick immediately identified all the problems the Lakers had last year. And it's all stuff that, like, myself and many of you identified also. Like, it didn't take an actual NBA head coach to identify those things. It just took eyeballs and paying attention, right? But JJ Redick and his staff are implementing different analytics and testing and things like that and using technology to their advantage, right? Like, he even talked about how Bronny James ran 6 miles. Jalen Hood-Schifino ran 5.5 miles, right? Like, and, kind of just going over all of the little details and how they have and are implementing all this technology and kind of getting with the times to gather all the data and all the analytics and stuff. And even Anthony Davis spoke on the analytics. And he said, like, I don't really care about that stuff, which you shouldn't. It's not really for the players, right? It's for the coaching staff to know and better understand what's working, what's not, what guys need to be where, right? It's just more information that you have to have better education and better understanding of your team and kind of the roles that guys play. And goes into the conditioning and goes into everything, right? If you can utilize and maximize the analytics technology to your advantage, you're just going to be a better organization. All that stuff exists for a reason. And I like that JJ Redick and the coaching staff is implementing all that stuff. I love the vibes. But more than anything, I like the attention to details, but the aura, for lack of a better term, for JJ Redick, and kind of just the way he's really carried himself and the rest of the coaching staff. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Agree with me? Disagree with me? Somewhere in between? However you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.